Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going through some of my works in progress. I have quite a few of them. I have a bunch stored in bins. I have a bunch not stored in bins. But today we're going to go through the bins. So let's get started. I use these 12-inch scrapbook bins to store my projects when I'm not working on them. And over time, the stack has gotten quite large. So here I have just a red scrap bin. I've been using that as for projects. And this stack is like, it's gotten ridiculous. So let's go through them today, and I'm going to pick out the projects that I'm going to work on and pick out others that I'm going to pass on, put the fabrics back in my stash, do whatever I can to clear these boxes out so that I can finish the projects that I have on hold and start new ones also. I brought over my first stack of bins. I have 4 here, so let's go through these. I mean, most of these, I have no idea what's in them. I could probably name some projects, but I haven't looked in these for a while. I've just been working other places. So this one's empty. Good news. That is ready to be filled with a project. This one, I remember this one. This was a kit. The quilt looks like this. And when this collection came out a while ago, Feed Sacks Red Rover, I loved it. I think I bought a fat quarter bundle or 2 and then maybe like a layer cake or something. And since I've used all of that. And then I had this kit, and I think I started this maybe a year or so ago, maybe a little longer. And I remember that I made all of the log cabin blocks, which are the tops of the flowers. And I have those here. I like flew through those, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make this really quick. And then I started on the leaves, and I like lost steam. So I don't exactly know where I'm at here. I'm going to have to go through and see. I know I started making some of the leaves. You like strip piece these in random widths and then made half square triangles from them. And that's what the leaves. And the thing about this one is, for the longest time, I did not have it in a bin. And I remember finding pieces of these leaves on the floor. And since I didn't know where the bin was, I don't know what I did with them. Now, maybe I did set them aside somewhere and I'll be able to find them. Maybe not. I might have to substitute some greens if I don't have enough. So that is that one. I do want to finish it. So I'm going to keep this one in the box. And yes, I will dedicate some time to working on that. Okay, this one is from the Valentine's placemats. So I think I decided that I'm going to make a few more of those placemats. And even if they aren't going to be ready for this year, like, I just want to at least make the tops of them to have them. So I'll be able to make those and clear this out. This next one, let's see. Oh yeah, okay, this project, I have a lot of pieces of this. Let me get the rest. Currently, this is mixed with another stack. I have a red, white, and blue project below it. There are some people here on YouTube who also follow me on Instagram, so you will have seen this there. On Instagram recently, I was at a sewing day for my quilt guild, and I shared the quilt. And I actually didn't even get to share the whole quilt, and I already passed it off to the long armor, who's going to custom quilt that one. I'm not custom quilting it. So this is that quilt, and it uses Ohio Star blocks like this. Once we started making it as a guild project, I loved it so much that I'm like, I need to make one for myself. So this is the start of that. These are the alternate blocks. And then this is a separate project that I got to set aside. This should go in that empty bin. We'll wait and see. So this is all of the triangles that I have cut out to make these blocks. And I do want to finish this. It is not a high priority. I will keep it in the bin because I do want to finish it at some point, but I know I'm not going to be working on it like right away. So we'll set that one aside and let me grab some more. Okay, this is a good one. Here's 4 more, and look at this one. I mean, this is so neat. Look at all those measurements. I have no idea what it's for. It will come to me. I know it will come to me. Right off the bat, I'm thinking perhaps it's a quilt from my book, A Year in Solids. But I have to think on that more. So I'll set that one aside with the Ohio Star quilt. This one, oh, okay. I know what this is. This is Moda. They did, I think this is an old Moda blockheads. And in this one, they had 2 different sizes. These small size measure 5 inches unfinished, so 4.5 inches finished. And then 9-inch blocks. And I remember making all of these, and I used fig tree fabrics for all of them, red and white. So this is good. I mean, I have a lot of blocks here. I think what the issue with this one was, I wanted to make more blocks and I wanted to do a layout that was different than their layout. But at the moment, I'm not even remembering what their layout looked like. So I'm going to have to do some research into this one, see if I can just assemble that into something or if I need to make more to do it. This is a similar one. And look, I left a note for myself. I remember making these and I actually love this. And I came across this fabric the other day when I was looking for something. So this is the Riley Blake Designs Block Challenge from 21 and 22. I remember I did all of the 21 and I wanted more blocks and I wanted a different setting. Again, very similar to the blockheads. So I decided to do the 22 blocks in exactly the same fabrics. And I don't think, if I'm remembering correctly, that I finished all of the 22 blocks. I think I started them but didn't finish them. But these are so, so pretty. And this is a collection, a red, white, and blue collection that was by Buttermilk Basin. For a short period of time, she designed fabrics for Riley Blake. And that overlapped with the time that I was working with Riley Blake on their blog, and I was making projects for their blog. This was an actual project that I was sharing on their blog. I just always got really excited when Buttermilk Basin's fabrics came out because I usually made a project with them. And I thought this collection was so beautiful that I started doing the block challenge with these. So I definitely want to finish this. Again, this one I'm going to have to look into, see which blocks I made, see which blocks I didn't, and then try to decide on a setting. And luckily, like I said, I found these fabrics. So I have at least a fat quarter bundle so I can make quite a bit more with those. Next one. Let's see. I'm nervous to open this. Oh, I can tell what it is already. Okay, this is the leftover fabric from Scrappy Stars. And I finished that quilt. It's beautiful. I actually have it on the back of my couch now and I don't want to take it off. It's so pretty. But what I did was I had extras of everything cut out. So I had extra 2.5-inch squares. I had extra 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles for the flying geese. And I do have leftover centers. And I also have leftover, I use this fabric here for the sashing and also the borders. So I had leftover, I cut out more than I needed. And what I was going to do with this is do pillow shams. Now, I didn't decide if I still want to do the pillow shams. So I need to make a decision on that and then either put the cutout pieces in my scrap bin and put these back with my sash or not. So again, contemplate. I mean, it's nice to go through and see these, but I'm not making many formal decisions here yet. I have 4 more total. So let's see. This one, I remember this quilt. I've made it more than once. And the blocks are all finished. It just needs to be assembled. This is an alphabet quilt. And I always get so many comments on this because people just adore it. So let me show you what the quilt looks like. This was a kid that Moda did. And this is an older collection, ABC XYZ. And I just adored this collection. I bought a lot of it and I've used almost all of it. So this pattern and this kit, it was a panel, an ABC panel, and then it gave you the fabrics from the panel and also the fabrics needed to make the top like this. And I have done this before. This is my second or my third one. And so all my blocks are made here. I just need to assemble that. So this will be really easy. And then let me see, it looks like I have a little bit of extra below. Probably not too much. I have enough for the border and the binding here, and then I must have a little bit extra of each of those. So that's perfect. And then I saved this. This was like a cutoff from the panel. And it's just the ABCs, but I feel like I could use this in a future project. So the way that it was, I think you got 2 alphabets with each panel. But like I said, I've made this quilt more than once. So I have at least 4 alphabets here. And then the extra fabric and the patterns. I must have did it twice because I have 2 of the patterns and the patterns came in the kit. So this will be an easy one to finish up. I have to find a good backing fabric for it though. And then my plans, since I've made this, my son has one of these, my plans with this one were to donate it or sell it. So I will put this aside. This one I can definitely finish. Okay, this one is a very long-term project that I started, and it's only actually part of it. It's these little envelope blocks. I saw this quote one time. It was called Letters to Santa, and it uses a bunch of these envelopes, and then there's like a big mailbox that's like red and very festive. And so I thought, oh, that would be so beautiful. So this pattern is in a book called Patchwork Please, and it's a foundation paper piece pattern. I will link to that below if I can. But what I did was, instead of just having to photocopy from the book every time, I drew the pattern up, and then I drew a template up like this for myself so that I could fussy cut the parts that will be peeking out of the envelope. So I can use this to decide what I want to show, and then I know how to cut that piece that's going to fit in the envelope. So I have no plans of finishing this up soon. This is just going to be like, I'm saving my cutest Christmas fabric for this, and over time I'll build on this quilt. So this can stay in the bin and very slowly get worked on. Now this one, I remember this. This I started a while ago. It was supposed to be, you know, a block here and there when I had time. And these are just 1.5-inch squares. So it was really good for scraps. And I just assembled it like that. And I use triangles for the rest of it. And then I trim the block to size. You can see here, this one's not quite put together. I chain piece them all, and then I just will come back, cut these threads, separating it, and then sew the block together. And the idea for this one was to just use up some scraps, because these are 1.5-inch squares. So if I have leftover fabrics from a certain project and I don't want to just throw them in my scrap bin, I can cut them up into 1.5-inch squares and pop them in here. And I know I have a huge stack of these made elsewhere, so I should gather that stack and put it in here, and I will keep this one. I feel no pull to make this right now at all, but I do think it's a good scrap project, and it's worth keeping in a bin to work on it whenever I have the time and the momentum. And this project is almost entirely pieced. It's based on a quilt that I've seen somewhere, and I think it might be Garnet Hill or like one of those places. And I thought the quilt was so beautiful, and I wanted to make it myself. So I started making all the blocks. And all I need to do is assemble this. It gets sashing units, and I'm not seeing the sashing units here. So I must need to, oh God, look at my notes. So I need to make the sashing units, cut the sashing units out, which I was using a gold fabric for that, like a mustardy yellow. And then come back. It looks like they just need their corners on, and then they need to be trimmed. So this one I will finish. Again, I don't specifically have the motivation to work on this right now, but I will at some point. And at this point, I'm surprised, because these projects are like, with the exception of the red one that I can't remember what that is, they're all good projects that could definitely be finished soon. And I feel comfortable keeping them in my bin for now. I have, let's see, a few more bins in a different spot. Let me grab those. Okay, here are my last two bins. This one has a combination of Christmas projects. When I wanted to take a break from Christmas sewing, when Christmas was over, I just put them all in here together. And, you know, I stand by that decision. I will enjoy working on this when I feel like in a festive Christmas spirit, and then I'll be able to just open this bin and go. So this one is the Wonderland pattern. I made, let's see, maybe like 6. Let me get a big block. Okay, I made a bunch of these big blocks. I'll link to this pattern below too. And I did bright red, dark red. I did like a mixed blue kind of, but those are the lighter versions because I have a darker one too. But you can see there's still some contrast in there. And I know I have at least 2 more of these. So I started working on this, and I wanted to get it finished for last Christmas, but it didn't work out. So I have all the pieces that I need cut to make this. Then the other things I have in here, these are extra triangles from the holly placemat that we did in December. And I just thought, you know, I might in the future want to make another one of those placemats. So I just saved them here along with this white. This is gingham trees pattern, and I have pieces here. This is just to make a mini quilt. It just gets one tree in the center, and then it's framed with the gingham and the solid red. So I figured I'd make that next year because I didn't get to that yet. And then this, which just got set in here because it was on my cutting mat, are these tiny, tiny stars. And I was making these as part of the challenge for mini quilt, like making mini blocks. And I'm considering, and I still am considering, doing some kind of quilt with these tiny, tiny stars. So I just set these in here also. So this is a good one. And then this is a long-term project that I've been working on. I think I started it last summer. Let me see. I'm pretty sure I keep the pattern in here with it. This was in American Patchwork and Quilting, and I mean, this is a major quilt. It has, let me see, when I read this the first time, I was like, oh gosh, I'll never finish it. But you have to cut out 1,516 triangles. It has so many pieces, so many pieces. So I've just put some red, whites, and blues in here on the top recently. I added, but I have more of them, and they're kind of sorted below here. And I cut whenever I feel in the mood to work on this. I cut them out, and I put the triangles that are needed into these little bins. This is like one of my most organized projects. So I have little bins up front, red, white, and blue triangles. And then I have bags in here of ones that I've already made. So here's 100 completed units. And then this is what a unit looks like for this quilt. And so this bag, like I said, has 100 completed units. This one has 50, and this one has 50. So I'll combine those two 50s, and then I'll try to make this 100. But I need 758 of those units before I can move on to assembly. So this is going to take a long time. It looks like I have a bunch started here too. These are the half square triangles that go into the unit before you add the sides to it. So, I mean, I just thought that quilt, when I saw it, oh, look, remember I said I was finding these all over, and here's one. So I'll put that in the other box. But when I first saw this quilt, I just thought, what a showstopper, and that I would really love to make it. So this is going to take a long time, and I'm not really pressing. I'm not like, let's work on this and get it done right now. No, it's just like when I feel like I want to, I make a couple units and put them in the bags and then keep going. And really, those are all the projects I have in my bins now, which I'm completely surprised by. Oh, there's projects outside of bins. These are just the ones in the bins. That one empty bin that we found that was at the top of the stack, I'm going to go ahead and fill it right now with the project that was underneath the other one. This is a red, white, and blue quilt. And these are the blocks. I made a lot of these already. I'm pretty much finished. I have all my other units are pieced. They just need to be assembled into blocks. And I don't think I decided how I'm going to assemble this. If I'm just going to assemble them all right next to each other, if I'm going to alternate like a chambray block in between them. I didn't really decide that, but these I had a blast making. The fun thing about this quilt is that every single red I used is a different red. Like I didn't repeat once. And this was hard. This was hard to do, but I made it work. And so that's going to be, fun when I look at this quilt and I know that all the reds are different, and it's, kind of special because it has reds from all different projects that I worked on. So that will take the empty bin. And I probably am not going to work on this until I get the feeling to work on patriotic projects, which isn't now. That wraps it up for today. I didn't make too many formal decisions on these bins, but it's nice to have gone through them and to see what's in there. And now I kind of have a record in my head of what's in there, and I'll work it into my plan for the next few weeks to try to finish some things up, move some projects out, move some other projects in. If you have any questions, just let me know. And if not, I'll see you back here soon. Thanks for following along.